In section 2.5, we're going to begin absolute value, where we will evaluate expressions and eventually we will solve equations with absolute value. Today we are only evaluating the absolute value expressions. So if you would, into your notes, copy down this first example. It says to evaluate the absolute value of m plus 6 minus 14 if m equals 4. We're still using our order of operations. We're still evaluating, just like we did with expressions. The first thing we're going to do is substitute in. We have the variable m. Do we know what m is? It's 4. So let's place 4 in for m. Absolute value bars are not parentheses, but they are kind of like grouping symbols where we would do that first. So let's start with our grouping symbols, our absolute value bars. 4 plus 6 is 10. We still need to take care of our grouping symbols. We have the absolute value of 10. What is the absolute value of 10? It's 10. You think back when you first learned about absolute value. Your teacher probably told you that it's a distance. Okay? Absolute value is a distance from 0 on a number line. So if I have a number line here, here's 0, and here's 10. I were to know the absolute value of 10, it really means how many spaces away from 0 is 10? Well, how many away is it?
10.
It's 10. What if I ask you for the absolute value of negative 1? That really means how many spaces away from 0 is negative 1? It's 1. Absolute value is always a positive number because it's measuring distance, and distance is always measured in a positive 1. So I took the absolute value of 10 and we got 10. Bring down minus 14. Now, 10 minus 14 is negative 4. Something I want to point out is after we took the absolute value, right here, I did not carry my absolute value bars down to the next step. They're gone. Once you take the absolute value, you just have that number. Carry your bars down anymore. And I don't take the absolute value of my final answer. I'm only taking the absolute value of what was in absolute value, the 10. So my answer here would be negative 4. Let's try another one. 23 minus the absolute value of 3 minus 4x if x is 2. Again, they give us a value of x. We need to substitute in. Substitute in. We still need to do our grouping symbols first, our absolute value bars. They're not parentheses. We can't distribute through absolute value bars. They don't have the same qualities as parentheses, but treat them as grouping symbols. In absolute value, I'm going to take negative 4 times 2, which is negative 8. Still inside those grouping symbols, still inside the absolute value bars, take 3 minus 8. Negative 5. I cannot add the opposite right here or change. You have to leave that alone. We need to take the absolute value of negative 5, which is 5. 23 minus 5. And 23 minus 5 is 18. You must show your work here. I don't want you to try to do all this in your head. You're going to make silly mistakes and miss them. I'm looking for your work. I want you to show where you substituted in. We're evaluating each step at a time. Our answer here is 18. Next example. The absolute value of 3 minus h plus 13. Again, let's substitute in. I've given you the values of f, g, and h because we'll use those on the next few examples. So h in our case is 5, so let's substitute in. In absolute absolute value, let's take 3 minus 5, -2. Next, take the absolute value of -2, which is, again, once we've taken the absolute value, we no longer carry the bars down. 2 plus 13. How about this one? 16 minus the absolute value of g plus 9. Again, they're giving us the value of g, so substitute in. We can take -4 plus 9, which is 5. The absolute value of 5 is 5. And 16 minus 5 is 11. I would like for you to try this next problem. When you've got your answer, I want you to raise your hand and show me. Once I have checked your answer, you can begin your homework, which will be out of your book. So here is that next example. The assignment is on page 105 and 106. Numbers 1 through 3 and 13 through, let's see.
24 instead.
Well, let me look. I'm checking. Yeah. Sometimes they change it every, every once in a while. Change the assignment a little bit. 1 through 13 to 21. We can't do 22 to 24 just yet. We haven't actually solved the equation, so we'll stop at 21. No, you can partner up with somebody. Where's your book at?
I think I left it with the paper.
Let's see if somebody let you borrow, sit with them and write down the problems.